It was rather hot that afternoon, and I was perspiring. I asked, Swamiji, may I please have a glass of water? He peeked his head around the door and said, Go wash your hands. I immediately did so, and when I returned, Swamiji had a glass of water for me. He explained to me that while preparing this food for offering to the Supreme Lord, one should not think of eating or drinking anything. So after drinking the glass of water, I went in and washed my hands and sat down. About 2 in the afternoon, I said, Swamiji, may I have a cigarette? And he peeked his head around the corner and said, Go wash your hands. So I did, and when I came back, he explained to me the 4 rules of Krishna consciousness. I continued to make the kachoris, and around 3:30, 4 o'clock, it was extremely warm in the room, and as Swamiji was bringing in one of his preparations, I was wiping my arm and hand across my forehead. He looked down at me and said, Please go and wash your hands. Again, I did so, and upon returning, he had a moistened paper towel for me. He explained that cooking for Krishna required certain standards of cleanliness and purity that were different from the ones I was accustomed to. Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita ki jai. So reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 27, entitled Attacked by Chandavega and the City of King Puranjana, the Character of Kalakanya. Text 1. Narada Vacha Itam Puranjanam Sadryag Vashamani Avipramai Puranjani Maharaja Reme Ramayati Patim Narada Vacha Itam Puranjanam Sadryag Vashamani Avipramahai Puranjani Maharaja Reme Ramayati Patim Narada Vacha Itam Puranjanam Sadvyag Vashamani Avipramahai Puranjani Maharaja Reme Ramayati Patim. Itam Puranjanam Sadhyag Vashamani Avipramahai Puranjani Maharaja Reme Ramayati Patim. Tampuranjanam Sadhyag Ramai Maharaja Narada Vacha Itampuranjanam Sadhyag Shamani Vipramahai Puranjani Maharaja Veramayati Patim. Mataji's Narada Vacha Vashamani Avipramahai Ranjani Maharaja Deepatim Nardovacha Itam Puranjanam Sadhyak and Narada Uvacha. Narada said, Itam, thus, Puranjanam, King Puranjana, Sadhyak, completely, Vashamaniya, bringing under her control, Vibramahai, by her charms, Puranjani, the wife of King Puranjana, Maharaja, O king, Reme, enjoyed, Ramayati, given all satisfaction, Patim, to her husband. Translation. The great sage Narada continued, My dear king, after bewildering her husband in different ways and bringing him under her control, the wife of King Puranjana gave him all satisfaction and enjoyed sex life with him. Purport. After hunting in the forest, King Puranjana returned home, and after refreshing himself by taking a bath and eating nice food, he searched for his wife. When he saw her lying down on the ground without a bed, as if neglected, and devoid of any proper dress, he became very much aggrieved. He then became attracted to her and began to enjoy her company. A living entity is similarly engaged in the material world in sinful activities. These sinful activities may be compared to King Puranjana's hunting in the forest. A sinful life can be counteracted by various processes of religion, such as yagya, vrata, and dana, that is, the performance of sacrifices, the taking of a vow for some religious ritual, and the giving of charity. In this way, one may become free from the reactions of sinful life and at the same time awaken his original Krishna consciousness. By coming home, taking his bath, and eating nice foodstuffs, getting refreshed, and searching out his wife, King Puranjana came to his good consciousness in his family life. In other words, a systematic family life, as enjoined in the Vedas, is better than an irresponsible, sinful life. If a husband and wife combine together in Krishna consciousness and live together peacefully, that is very nice. However, if a husband becomes too much attracted by his wife and forgets his duty in life, the implications of materialistic life will again resume. Srila Rupa Goswami has therefore recommended Anasaktasya Vishayan, Bhakti-rasamrita Sindhu 12255. Without being attached by sex, the husband and wife may live together for the advancement of spiritual life. The husband should engage in devotional service, and the wife should be faithful and religious according to the Vedic injunctions. Such a combination is very good. However, if the husband becomes too much attracted to the wife due to sex, the position becomes very dangerous. Women in general are very much sexually inclined. Indeed, it is said that a woman's sex desire is 9 times stronger than a man's. It is therefore a man's duty to keep a woman under his control by satisfying her, giving her ornaments, nice food and clothes, and engaging her in religious activities. Of course, a woman should have a few children, and in this way not be disturbing to the man. Unfortunately, if the man becomes attracted to the woman simply for sex enjoyment, then family life becomes abominable. The great politician Chanakya Pandit has said, Bharya Rupavati Shatru. A beautiful wife is an enemy. Of course, every woman in the eyes of her husband is very beautiful. Others may see her as not very beautiful, but the husband, being very much attracted to her, sees her always as very beautiful. If the husband sees the wife as very beautiful, it is to be assumed that he is too much attracted to her. This attraction is the attraction of sex. The whole world is captivated by the two modes of material nature, Rajoguna and Tamoguna, passion and ignorance. Generally, women are very much passionate and are less intelligent. Therefore, somehow or other, a man should not be under the control of their passion and ignorance. By performing bhakti yoga or devotional service, a man can be raised to the platform of goodness. If a husband situated in the mode of goodness can control his wife, who is in passion and ignorance, the woman is benefited. Forgetting her natural inclination for passion and ignorance, the woman becomes obedient and faithful to her husband, who is situated in goodness. Such a life becomes very welcome. The intelligence of the man and woman may then work very nicely together, and they can make a progressive march towards spiritual realization. Otherwise, the husband, coming under the control of the wife, sacrifices his quality of goodness and becomes subservient to the qualities of passion and ignorance. In this way, the whole situation becomes polluted. The conclusion is that a household life is better than a sinful life devoid of responsibility. But if in the household life the husband becomes subordinate to the wife, involvement in materialistic life again becomes prominent. In this way, a man's material bondage becomes enhanced. Because of this, according to the Vedic system, after a certain age, a man is recommended to abandon his family life for the stages of Vanaprastha and Sannyas. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmalitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. Offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam. When will Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who is established within this material world, the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya, give me shelter under his lotus feet? Panchakalpa Turubhyascha Kripasindubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, who can fulfill the desires of everyone just like desire trees, and are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Chaitanya Swami Namani Namavi Bhakti Chaitanyam Prabhupada Sevanam Shri Rajadana Mahatmya Padashakam Prapanavam. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharane Nivishesha Shunyavadi Pastajade Shatarane. Okay, so I'll read the translation once more. The great sage Narada continued, My dear king, after bewildering her husband in different ways and bringing him under her control, the wife of King Puranjana gave him all satisfaction and enjoyed sex life with him. So the purport explaining how the verse is given different, like there's quite a few different levels of meaning to it. And the first one is that uh, the King Puranjana's going out and hunting is like a comparison or an analogy with the living entities or the living entities going out and engaging in sinful life, neglecting the direction of the Supreme Lord, just trying to enjoy the material world in his own way, and in that way becoming involved in sinful activities. And then when he comes to his senses, or at least when King Puranjana comes home and bathes and dresses and meets his wife again, and that way becomes happy, then that is compared to the living entities like coming to his senses and coming back to uh, a more pious life, ultimately coming to spiritual life. Following, in other words, following the directions of the Shastra again and gradually coming back to his original Krishna consciousness. So, Srila Prabhupada explains that a sinful life can be counteracted in the traditional, in the original sense, you could say, the way the Vedic culture is set up. It's counteracted through yagya, so sacrifice, charity, and that sort of those sorts of activities. Giving charity, taking a vow for some religious ritual, and performance of sacrifice. So yagya, vrata, and dana. In this way, the living entity becomes, the human being becomes free from his sinful reactions, and also he gradually then, after some time, he gradually awakens his original Krishna consciousness. So in Kali Yuga, however, that doesn't, we don't have that in place. So we don't have these sort of preliminary structures in place of how to become pious, how to become religious. It's just not there. We don't have Varnashram Dharma, in other words, in place in Kali Yuga. So there's no sort of structures in place to help a person become pious. Generally, the society and the government is sort of meant for that sort of thing. But if anything, we have the opposite. We have a society where things are directing us in a downward direction towards, like, sort of encouraging us to engage in sinful activities. And so the atmosphere is very polluted in Kali Yuga, and therefore these other methods won't work. They're not strong enough. The only process that works is the chanting of the holy name, as we know, and as it's described in the Brihan Naradiya Purana, which Lord Chaitanya would often quote, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama Eva Kevalam, Kalo Nasjeva, Nasjeva, Nasjeva Gatir Anyata. That in Kali Yuga, there's only one process that can actually help one make progress, and that's chanting the holy name of the Lord, and nothing else works. And the word Gatir, the words in that verse, Gatir Anyata, mean no other way to progress. So it's making it very clear that that like the yagya, dana, and vrata that's been referred to here is not going to work, not going to help one progress. The only thing that's going to help one progress is Hare Nama, the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. So devotees are very much aware of this, and as one continues to remain in Krishna consciousness, as one continues to progress in Krishna consciousness, then one becomes more and more acutely aware of this fact and takes more and more shelter of one's japa, of one's chanting of the holy name, and also of the association of devotees. Because you see it more and more clearly that um, even if you've been around in Krishna consciousness for a long time, still Kali Yuga is so strong that the material energy can sweep you away in one easy blow. So there's no it's only on the basis of our attentive chanting of Hare Krishna that we can actually remain strong, even be pious, or to speak of be Krishna conscious. Um, so just wanted to emphasize that point first. How we can see King Puranjana's coming back and taken to a pious life in our particular context means that we simply take shelter of attentively chanting Hare Krishna and associating with devotees. Then Srila Prabhupada goes on to give the other sort of aspect of the analogy, which is this whole idea of King Puranjana is becoming overly attracted to his wife and attached to sex life. So Srila Prabhupada initially, he first points out that it's the verses explaining that a systematic family life done according to the Shastra, the directions of the Shastra, is better than an irresponsible life. Irresponsible life, we is in our current day and age, it's not something that we're unfamiliar with. It's all around us. We're probably less familiar with the responsible life than the irresponsible. Just the idea of men and women coming together in in a sexual sort of relationship, if you want to call it that, for either from as little as one night to like maybe a few weeks or a few months. That would be quite an achievement in this day and age. So that's sort of the general rule today is just this irresponsible life of illicit sex, no responsibility, no marriage ties. But better than that is to be responsible and get married to a suitable partner, and in a way practice Krishna consciousness together and follow the injunctions of the Shastra in terms of sex life, which is the next thing Srila Prabhupada goes on to explain, that it needs to be regulated, and the husband should not become under the control of his wife's charms, so to speak, physical and so on charms. The female body, you could say, is naturally the attracting principle, and then the male becomes attracted, and in this way material life continues for the conditioned soul, life after life. Sometimes because the man becomes overly attracted to his wife, he takes birth as a woman in his next life, and so that generally it's quite normal for the living entity to go back and forth between a male and female form because of the strong attraction to the opposite sex. So in this way, Srila Prabhupada is trying to stress how the male should first of all become strong in Krishna consciousness. In that way, he won't come under the control of the sex urge to enjoy his wife. And in this way, if the wife serves the husband faithfully, the husband who can now control his senses due to Krishna consciousness, due to having practiced Krishna consciousness, he's come to the mode of goodness, he can control his senses, and the woman faithfully serves him. In this way, both of them gradually come out of the material, the trap of material existence, and come to the spiritual platform. So this is what Srila Prabhupada is recommending that we do. In a nutshell, that's basically what he's saying. That's what we need to do. So what about what Prabhupada is saying about women being like less intelligent, more inclined to the mode of passion and ignorance than men? It may be, I was just thinking when I was reading this, if someone who's like a feminist or even just your average woman today were to read this, yeah, they might definitely become offended and sort of put off reading such a thing. So we have to have a little bit of maturity in how we understand these sort of things. Um, it may not be so clear today because of the situation of us being in Kali Yuga, and therefore the condition of men today is very much degraded. So we should understand when the Shastra refers to like a man, it's not, we generally don't have real men today. And therefore it's sort of what is stated here is not so apparent today. It's not so clear. It doesn't really make sense in today's context, in many cases at least. But if you were to go back a few thousand years before Kali Yuga began, and then the condition of how men really were, and how you see how the potential of how a man should actually be, then it is very clear the difference between a man and a woman. It's just that the men today have sort of lost their status, so to speak, and therefore it's not so clear that there's a difference between a man and a woman. Often in this age, the men are often more, they're so far gone that they're more degraded than the women, even more in passion ignorance than the women. So we have to sort of understand that as well. Sometimes men practicing Krishna consciousness, the devotees in male bodies practicing Krishna consciousness, when they read these sort of statements, they sometimes use it as a, they obviously mean well, but they just become a bit carried away by these sort of statements and think, they point out to their wife that just see, Bhagavatam says you must serve me faithfully and this and that, which is true in a sense, but there's a saying that if one wants one's wife to be like Draupadi, then one needs to be like Arjuna. The basic principle. So can't really expect a woman to be like this perfect ideal Vedic woman if we ourselves are not situated in the mode of goodness. So, but none. And so here's one story to illustrate how this is so. Once Srila Prabhupada was being interviewed by a female reporter in the 70s, and she was asking him about statements in his books about how women should serve men and so on. And she said, why are you saying like this and so on? Of course, Srila Prabhupada is so transcendental. He's not affected by whatever the current trends of thought are in terms of gender roles and so on. He's completely detached and he's just presenting the absolute truth, as it is, beyond whatever the current trends are. Because remember, Prabhupada's writing for the next 10,000 years. So whatever trends we have at the current moment, they may be completely different, as they were completely different just a few hundred years ago. They'll be completely different in a few hundred years' time as well. So Prabhupada's presenting the absolute truth from the Shastra as it is. But anyway, he said to the reporter, you want to serve a man. That is your natural inclination. That was his response to So I was quite astounded when I heard that. And Srila Prabhupada didn't say it with any kind of envy. He just said it as, with affection, actually. But the point is that this is the point, that it's the natural inclination of a woman to serve a man. So if a man finds that the woman is not serving him naturally, it means there's a fault on the part of the male, because it's her natural inclination. I hope that makes sense. If like if you find a woman attractive, then you'll be attracted to her. But if you don't find a woman attractive, you won't be attracted to her. I don't know if that makes sense. So it's a natural inclination to be attracted to a woman. But if she's not attracted, you won't be attracted to her. So it's a natural inclination of a woman to serve a man. But if the man doesn't have the necessary qualification, being in the mode of goodness, being heroic, being able to control his senses, then her natural inclination to serve him won't manifest. I hope that makes sense, yeah. So it's not to say that women shouldn't try their best to develop this mood of serving the husband faithfully. Of course they should. And that can encourage and inspire the man, and that can help the marriage and help them progress in Krishna consciousness. But at the same time, it's generally speaking, the onus is more on the male to develop the necessary qualities whereby the woman will want to become a faithful servant or a husband. So just I just thought I should mention a little bit about that, because it's obviously, it can be a sensitive issue. Um, and it's important to read these things with maturity and to apply them with moderation, not apply them in an extreme fanatical way. From a more transcendental perspective, though, we can consider this point, that we are all we're all like tiny conditioned souls. We're tiny conditioned souls, and we're fully under the grip of material nature. We're never independent, so we're fully under the grip of material nature. We've been tossed around by the waves of material existence, and therefore we should see like, for example, when it speaks about the weaknesses of a particular sex, I mean, like a male or a female, we should not take it personally, but rather see it as being for our benefits. In other words, our real purpose is to get out of material existence, become Krishna conscious and get out of material existence. And we should see, if it's pointed out that this body we now have has these weaknesses, therefore that is good for us, right? Because then we can know what to be careful of as we're trying to progress in Krishna consciousness. So in this purport, Srila Prabhupada is pointing out the weaknesses of the female body that is naturally inclined to passion and ignorance. And it's also pointing out the weaknesses of the male body that is naturally inclined, it has a tendency to come under the control of the beauty of a woman and become attached to sex. So whatever body we're in, we should see, okay, this is what I need to be careful about, and then take extra precaution, and that way may continue making progress in Krishna consciousness. After all, we're not the material body, we're the spirit soul, and we've all of us have been in male bodies, and both male and female bodies, so there's no need to identify with either or take it personally. Another analogy is like, say you have a car and someone points out, oh yes, I know that type of car. So you got to be careful. Sometimes the gearbox gives up at a certain point, or sometimes the clutch may stop working. It has this weakness in the manufacturing. In the manufacturing model, there's this particular weakness in this car, So we wouldn't take it personally because we know we're not the car, but we just know we've got to watch out of it. So that's why from more transcendental perspective, I'm trying to take it to a more transcendental level, in terms of how we can view these statements, that we don't take them personally, but just see them as warnings about what the weakness of our particular material body is. And remember that particular material body we have is temporary, and our aim is to get out of material existence. But so the basic point is that Prabhupada is pointing out that we should try to be strong in Krishna consciousness. Whether one is in a male or female body, we should really try to take shelter of the process of chanting Hare Krishna with attention, take shelter of the association of devotees, and that we really become strong in Krishna consciousness and really come to a higher status where we no longer under the control of our senses. And this will enable us to actually come to Krishna consciousness and actually get out of material existence, which is what the purpose of this verse is all about. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Any comments or questions? Yes, Mataji. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Yes. Oh. Yeah. Yeah, it's been a while since I read this pastime, and I actually didn't, in this particular case. I didn't. I like to normally go back and look at the previous verses and get a context, but I didn't in this case. I just focus on the purport. So I can't. Yeah, I can't really. I can't really comment. The wife is compared to the intelligence. A chase wife. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I know just in my own personal experience, and it is a fact that often women guide men. Like even you often see persons in men in big. They say behind every leader there's behind every great leader there's his wife, right? So I often find that in my own life in general, that's my wife tends to guide me in a certain sense because the man tends to be um, like get swayed by things and lose his intelligence. That makes sense. Men tend to like it is said that generally men start wars, that women don't start wars. So women they definitely have a certain sensibility about them. They don't get too swayed by things. That's all I can say just from my personal experience, but I can't comment more, unfortunately. Sorry. Hare Krishna. Yes,
Class. Prabhuji, you know how it mentioned about that a woman is attracted, to sex 9 times more than a man. But could it also mean also physically and subtly? Like men are physically, generally, from what I've observed, are more attracted physically, But when it comes to subtle things like, having a nice house, having everything available for the children, more comforts and things like that, I was saying that women tend to push forward that side of it more. Could
Yeah.
that what it also refers to?
I have heard that, yes. I don't have a reference now, unfortunately, but I have heard that it also because sex desire manifests not just in the physical sense, um, and the Sanskrit word for a woman is stri, and the word stri means to expand, one who expands one's material existence. So generally, you'll find when a man is single, he lives quite simply, and then once he connects with a woman, either gets married or just in how it's done today, boyfriend, girlfriend, then his life becomes more complicated. He needs has many more possessions, and so um, I remember my father actually telling me that when he was single and in the army, he had one plate, one spoon, and one cup. But now, when we grew up, we had this whole arrangement of cutlery and household goods. Um, so that's the tendency. So as far as I've heard, it is this sex desire manifested in other ways other than just physical desire. Yeah. Is that right? Anything else? Grantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.